Hi, everybody. This is Liz Hall, your favorite lifestyle blogger, and you're listening to Fan Day Radio, your passport to life as I live it. And today I'm doing something interesting. I'm actually recording a video while I'm doing this podcast. So now if you want to actually see me recording the podcast, you can, or you can just listen to it on the go if you want. I'd like to thank all of my returning listeners and all the new ones for following. Today, I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to talk about a museum trip that I went on, the neon color run, some things that I've been doing since I've been home from Afghanistan. Some podcasts that I've been listening to that I'd like to recommend if you like listening to that stuff. So for now, I'll just welcome everybody into my podcast studio here in sunny Central Florida. First, before I get started, and I got some notes going so I can kind of stay on topic because it's really easy for me to just go off into left field. If you guys have been listening, you know that already. And like I said before, I want to thank all the returning listeners and the new ones. If this is your first time listening, you can subscribe to Fan Day Radio on iTunes, or you can listen via RSS feed. What I would really like and appreciate, if you don't mind, is for you to leave a rating on iTunes, because that helps people to find the show and give us a thumbs up. And now you can also find the show on YouTube channel, and I'll have all the links in the show notes for anything that I mentioned, so don't worry about that. But the YouTube channel is actually Liz for a Day is the username. So if you go to youtube.com/Liz for a Day, you'll find the show there and some other videos as well. Now, speaking of the YouTube channel, I've been recording videos for my business, and that's at Smart Office Help. And those are actually social media related. And that kind of gave me the idea to why not record a video, since I haven't done any videos for Liz for a Day for a while I'm doing the podcast. And podcasting is actually one of my favorite things to do. Even though I don't have a lot of episodes out there on the personal channel, I really do love podcasting. And it's something good for you to do for your business. And lots of people do like vlogs and stuff. I just like that kind of stuff. Anyway, and so I hope you guys enjoy the videos as well. I was doing some videos on being green. I called it my Green Boots Boot Camp series. And I started that in June. But like I said, I had to kind of put that on the back burner. Sometimes we have to do that because, life just takes some speedy turns. And so I haven't done any green videos lately, but I'm still living the green life as much as I can. I'm taking baby steps, and that's what you should do when it comes to being an eco-friendly, kind of love the earth, tree-hugging hippie like me. And that's just take baby steps. You just do what you can. And if you can't, just try not to tear the earth up too much when you're doing it. Just, give it a little bit of thought. Because I think that's the important thing when it comes to being green. It's just giving your actions just a little bit of thought. Like when you're using paper, like I had some scrap paper here, and I was going to throw this paper away because it had like a little something on here from when I printed, but because my printer doesn't like the pages with holes for some reason, but I'm always trying to put the paper in there and it always jams up. So I have to find another use for that. So I wrote some notes down on that paper. So, you have to just give things a little thought. You can actually use the back of paper. I guess I'm giving like a green tip here. In the office, when you're using paper, first of all, I am a proponent of not printing anything if you don't have to. I try to look at things on the screen. It's so much more convenient to print things out, but if I don't have to, I don't. And I do really good when it comes to being eco-friendly in the office. But when I do print things out, sometimes I have to. And then I have paper around that I'm not using, something that's out of date I'm not going to use, and it just becomes trash at that point. So what I do is I use the back side of it to print on. If it's not something I have to give to somebody else, if I have to print something, I'll use the back of the paper. So that is like a really good tip for being green. So just, put some thought into what you do as far as being green. Now on the virtual races, sorry for that. It's hard when you like looking at your notes, but on the virtual races, I actually did a post about virtual races and some virtual races that were coming up. And this was probably at the end of August. I was out and I had my feelers out looking for some virtual races. And I actually found a Facebook site, and I think it says virtual races. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But anyway, I found some virtual races. They had some Halloween races that were coming up. I thought that was pretty cool because I like Halloween also. Anytime you get to dress up, but this is not really a dress up type of thing. But anyway, I put it in a link in the show notes. I also have a blog post about the virtual races. I have been looking for virtual races for a long time. Probably when I was in Afghanistan, because we didn't really have any race events that we could participate in. So I actually had my company on board to do a virtual race, and that was back right before I left in February. So I didn't really see that come to fruition. But with the virtual races, if you don't already know what a virtual race is, and why it intrigued me is because you can actually do the race on your own. Now, every virtual race has different rules as to how they go about doing it. Some virtual races, you have to show proof that you ran, and that's maybe like a picture of like your sports watch. Or, because you can take a picture of the sports watch. I got my sports watch right here. If you're watching, this is my Nike watch, that's a whole nother story right there. Isn't that a beautiful watch? I had a green one before, but it kind of wasn't working with my MacBook, and I couldn't figure out why. The watch worked, the GPS, everything, but when I tried to hook it into my MacBook Pro, it wasn't working. So I actually I broke down and I called Nike, and they replaced it for free. I couldn't believe it. They replaced the watch for free, and I got this nice red one. It actually has some colors on it from the color run, which I'm going to discuss. But back to the virtual races. They have their different rules. Sometimes you have to take a picture. Sometimes you don't need any proof at all. It's all based on charities. That is fundraising that they do. So you give a donation, and for your donation, they'll give you something in return for your race. And sometimes it's not that much, but I'll show you what I got. I signed up for 2 virtual races, and I was kind of worried because it was taking a long time for me to get my items for the virtual race. Like I said, I signed up for it in August, and then here came September, and then we're on in October, and I hadn't gotten anything. I hadn't heard anything, and I felt deep in my heart that I got cheated. I said, I gave to this charity, and they promised to give me these items for the virtual race, and I hadn't received anything. Well, shortly after that thought came into my mind, I got an email from the organizer, and like I said, this is for a charity, and this lady is doing this as a fundraiser for her son who has leukemia. And she put a note out there, and she apologized to everyone for taking so long to send the items out, but it's just because of life. Her son was going through some treatments, and she just didn't have time to get the items out, but she said she would have them out in a week, and she did. So I received my items, and I actually, if you're watching the video, you'll see I still have them packed up in plastic. I got 2 medals because I'm actually doing 2 races. One of them is a 10K, and the other one is a 5K. And I'll show you on here. I'll show you my what do you call it? The thingies that go on the shirt. There, I got my race numbers. I couldn't get that out. Got my race numbers here, and I have the Zombaween, which is for Halloween, and it's a nice little race number. And then I have one for the 10K, which is Brainsgiving 10K Chase. So I love zombies, so I was really down when I found this one. And like I said, they have some really nice gear. And not only that, they sent me a nice little note, a nice little thank you note, and I thought that was very nice for her to do, to take it out of her time and her son's time but this is a charity for them. And I'll just unpack one of these so you guys can see out of the plastic here. And all right, and these are really nice. I have pictures of these on my website as well. I hope you guys can see that. And this is the Zombaween. This is the 5K. So with this one, you don't have to have proof that you ran. And actually, they actually suggest that you can just do a little bit at a time. You don't have to run when it comes to virtual races. You can actually walk the virtual races. So you can go out and walk them out today, walk them out tomorrow, walk them out in a couple of days, and get your 3.1K, and then take a picture with your medal and your race number on, and and just post that to their Facebook page just to show your appreciation. And these are some awesome medals, actually. Very heavy. I like it. And then, of course, it says zombies hate cancer. So that's awesome. So I just want to show you guys that. Now I'll unpack the other one when it gets closer to Thanksgiving. And I'll also let you guys know how that race goes. And speaking of races, I did the Orlando Neon Color Run here, and I thought, actually, I didn't go looking for that event, but I'm actually a member of Groupons, and I love when deals come up, and they had some really good deals on the Neon Color Run. So I took the bait and I signed up for it, and I was really excited when I signed up for it because it really looked like a lot of fun. And of course, I'm always trying to find people to do these events with me, and I can never find anybody. They always have something else to do, or, lots of people that hang out in my circles, they ain't running, they ain't walking, forget it. So on the day of, I actually didn't get that much sleep the night before because me and my brothers were doing some work on a house. And so I was kind of tired and I wasn't really feeling good. I think I just caught maybe a 48-hour virus or something. And so I wasn't really feeling good, but me being me, I paid my money. So I was going to go out there no matter what. So after I got done with my brothers, I came home, I got dressed, took me a couple of photos, and I was just thinking, man, I wish I had somebody that could take some pictures of me. And because I never have anybody with me, sometimes I don't even get pictures of me when I go to these events. And I love taking pictures because I like to post the pictures out there on the blog or list for a day, but sometimes that just doesn't happen. So I drove out there, and let me just tell you, when I signed up, I did the packet pickup, which was very easy and painless. They had it at one of the Sports Authority, and which was perfect because it's a perfect venue to go. You can check out Sports Authority stuff when you go in. It's an okay store, it's no running store. For me, it's no Track Shack. Track Shack is my favorite running store here in the Orlando area. So that's a plug for you guys. And so when I did my packet pickup, the lines weren't that long. They had like colored arrows going through the store to show you where to go. So that was kind of cool. And what you got was two chemical lights. So when you break those lights, if you don't know what a chemical light is, you break the lights and then the lights inside illuminate. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not too, environmentally friendly, but you have to pick and choose your battles. And so they give you a couple of those, and I got a headband that had the Neon Color Run. I really like the headband. It's very 80s looking, and you'll see a picture of that also on the website. as well. But I like the headband, and they give you, it's like some neon paint that you can put on your body, and all this stuff is like food grade paint. So I just threw everything in the car and left it there until race day. And you get your race number, also a very beautiful race number, and that's about it. This is not a medal. It was only 2 miles. I don't know why I was thinking it was more than 2 miles. So when I got to the finish line, actually I was pretty surprised, but I was happy because, like I said, I wasn't feeling good. So the night of, I got dressed up, I got in my car, and I went out because, of course, it's a neon run. It's going to be at night. So they had some really nice party type music, and it was at the Florida Fairgrounds, which I didn't really know how that was going to work out because they don't really have a track or anything out there, so I didn't know. So everything was nice and colorful and all lit up, and it was just a ton of people. It must have been thousands of people out there. Now, I had signed up for my start time at 8 o'clock, but I don't really think it mattered what your start time was. You just get in line and you start whenever you wanted to, and they kind of did that like in waves. So they would let some people go, and then the next wave they would bring people in. And I think they did that so it wouldn't bottleneck because they had so many people and the course was so short. So you get in. I actually was in line to take pictures, and I thought maybe they had somebody out there taking pictures. But then when I figured out by looking that you had to take your own picture, I was kind of, I was in that place again. I didn't really have anybody with me. I would have had to ask somebody else to take a picture of me, which is no big deal. But my start time was coming up. So, and I didn't really know at that time that, it didn't really matter about your start time. So I got out of that line, and they did have some vendors out there that were selling food, liquor, and beer and stuff like that. But I didn't partake, surprisingly. And so I went and I got in line, and I think I must have been in line for about an hour just to start. But they did have like some fun games. They had the ball that you throw up in the air, and you want to keep that up in the air. And they gave out extra chem lights, more fun stuff for the environment. Picking and choosing my battles, though. And then also, it was like you just had to wait. And then I noticed everybody was walking, and I was kind of surprised about that. It was, I'd say, like about 97% of the people walked the route, which was fine. But I like to run, so I'm a slow runner. Surprisingly, I pass some walkers, but I like to run. So once I finally got started, I started running. Now, what I thought was a little bit dangerous was most of the run was on grass, and it was in the dark, and you couldn't really, if you have bad depth perception, you might not want to go on a run like this, because there was like some holes in the ground, some potholes and pitfalls and long grass. And so in that way, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I can tell, I've never ran on grass before, and I can tell you after this, I did not like it. So I don't want to do the grass thing anymore. But so I did that, and I was kind of surprised because they had a water table like probably maybe a minute once you start running. There was a water table, and I thought that was kind of odd. I mean, it was only 2 miles, but still. And you could tell these people were just out there for fun, and it was a fun run, because if you wanted water at the table, you weren't be able to get it because everybody was standing in front of the table. So I just kept on moseying along. I did want some water though, but it wasn't going to take me that long to get finished. So I ran to the end, and like I said, I was a little bit surprised because I thought it was going to be a 5K, and don't ask me why, I just wasn't paying attention. But it was only 2 miles, and then as you go along, you run through like these tents, and they splash you with water, and they have like the black lights on, so everything is all glowy. So everything was nice and pretty, and everybody was having fun. But I kept trying to tell myself to enjoy it, but I really just didn't enjoy myself. So, and as I walked back to my car once I got finished, one of the security people out there said, "Hey, did you have fun?" And I couldn't really answer that question. it wasn't that much fun to me. And I just decided that for things like that, if I don't have somebody with me, I probably won't do it. Because sometimes the fun is in the friends that are with you. And in this particular race, I didn't have so much fun. So that was my experience with the Neon Color Run. Would I do it again? Maybe, if I had some friends with me. It was short, but it was really built to be just a fun run or a walk. So that would be a great way just to get out there and keep it moving, because that's what it's all about, is just to keep moving on the virtual race. So that was the Orlando Color Run. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I went to the Orlando Museum, which I have never been to the museum. But what sparked my interest is on Yelp. I get the Yelp newsletter, which is great. And they had, there was a deal that the Smithsonian was doing. It was called Museum Day. And I thought this was really interesting because, I'm a nerd at heart. So, I had like a trip. It was a free trip to go to the museum. So I was going to go. And I dragged some people in my family with me too. But anyway, it was called Museum Day. And so museums all over the country were actually giving out free passes for people to come to the museum, which I thought that was a great promotional technique for them. And so I signed up to go to the museum here in Orlando. And it was interesting. I always think about things, how do they choose like the items that they put in the museums? Now, when you first go into the Orlando Museum, and it's quite small, it doesn't take that long to go around in the museum. And I think normally the price is maybe like $7 to get in, maybe $5 for kids or whatever. So it's still an affordable little trip. But when you first go in, one of the first galleries you go into is like American art, which is more like around the Revolutionary War times. And, George Washington type stuff. And, I'm looking at this art and I'm thinking, how do they choose these pieces? Maybe it's just like donations from people. But American art is like so dang on boring. I could have passed that one up. It just doesn't interest me at all. What I liked is, when you get like to the Mexican Aztec type of art and African art, that stuff has so much culture. Our nation is so young. I don't know, it doesn't have like its own culture. It's such a melting pot. And I think, like those countries that have like a really long history, they just have like the best culture and the best things to see in the museum. And so I was kind of drawn to that type of stuff. But like I said, it wasn't a lot to see there. It was a quick run through, but I still enjoyed it because nerd in me just likes stuff like that. And I'm very nerdy. You guys have no idea. And so that was my trip to the museum, and that's the Orlando Museum. So if anybody wants to, I would recommend it. It's something short for the kids, Take your kids out there with you. Now, what have I been like watching on TV lately is The Walking Dead. You guys like The Walking Dead? I love The Walking Dead. And my oldest brother, he loves The Walking Dead too. We are like some sci-fi groupie junkies. I love sci-fi stuff anyway. And we love zombies. So, and it did not disappoint. This is the 4th season of The Walking Dead on AMC. And I loved it. And if you missed any episodes, you can watch it on demand, I guess, on cable. But I guess I'm doing a little promo for them. But I just like it. And me and my brother were kind of discussing it because, everybody's talking about The Walking Dead. And I said, I know the secret to why people love that show so much. Because when it first came on, my first thought was, how in the heck are they going to make a show out of zombies? But it worked. And the reason why it worked is because it's a soap opera. It's a zombie soap opera. And I'm not a big soap opera person, but it's great. It's a great show. So if you haven't seen it, I would highly suggest that you watch The Walking Dead. And then along the sci-fi series that I like, not just on the Sci-Fi Channel, is Grimm. And Grimm just started. They kind of threw me on Grimm. This is the third season of Grimm, because I'm thinking maybe I missed some of the last episodes. I'm gonna have to go back and check it out. But Grimm is always a good one to watch. And then they have a new series called Dracula. That's like a sexy Dracula series. I know I'm gonna love this one. And so it just started. They had the first episode and I enjoyed it. And I think, with all series, I always think, how are they going to make something out of this? And Sleepy Hollow, I like that kind of stuff. And of course, it all comes out during Halloween time. So that's great. Actually, I don't have any Halloween plans, no Halloween parties. I thought about doing a Halloween party this year, but I just had too much stuff to do. But if anybody out there wants to invite me to a Halloween party, hit me up. I'll be happy to dress up. I love that kind of stuff. Some podcasts that I've been listening to that you might be interested in, because if you're listening to this podcast, then obviously you might just like podcasts. Maybe you're looking for something else, but I just started listening to a couple of more geeky kind of podcasts, and one of them is called Tested. And Tested, the host of Tested, I can't remember his name. I have a link in the show notes to the podcast website, but he is the guy that he doesn't have the beard. He has, I guess they might both have glasses. I'm not sure. It's from Mythbusters. It's one of the guys from Mythbusters. And they actually, test technology, and they have like a podcast. And it's pretty interesting. And that's for the geek in you if you want to listen to that. It's called Tested. And then the next one is the Joe Rogan Experience. And a lot of people may have heard of Joe Rogan. He's done like a little bit of TV. I think he was on Fear Factor, and he's a comedian. And I really enjoy his show. And I just listened to it, and it's a really long show too. And they put out like tons of episodes, so they'll keep you going on the podcast. But and they could be a little raunchy sometimes. It's a totally adult podcast, so I'm just letting you know right now. But that they go into like conspiracy theories, and they go into geeky kind of stuff, and they're like really funny, and they're just off the cuff, and I really enjoy that. So if you guys like listening to podcasts, that's a good one. It's called the Joe Rogan Experience. Again, that will be in the show notes. So I think I've ranted enough for today. And so just want to give you a few listeners' stats and summation for this week, if anybody gives a hootie hoot. How much fitness have I been doing? Actually, I've been doing none. And I need to, but in the next week, I have the Run for Your Lives coming up, and that's going to be my first obstacle mud run. So be listening to hear about my review on that one. I am excited about that one, and I will be running that with some of my blogging buddies that I haven't met from the Tampa Bay area. So that's going to be cool. And then what I've been eating lately, of course, I eat lots of my veggies, and I actually have been really digging homemade pizza. And I've been making the homemade pizza using like the Pillsbury pizza dough because it's easy. So I just keep that on hand. You just roll that out and put whatever you want on there. Last night I had a cheese pizza because I didn't really have anything else to put on there. But that's what I've been enjoying lately is homemade pizza. And so with that, I'm going to close, and I just want to invite you to continue listening to the podcast, and please go on to iTunes and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also subscribe on the website on lizforaday.com for the RSS feed. And that's it. With that, I'm going to close and just say love, peace, and hair grease from your sweet lotus blossom and lovable Lizzie. Have a fantabulous day and enjoy life.